All right, so you are doing a longer video today. I think you can tell that. So here are some questions that you got about Hinduism. Who invented Hinduism? From someone in the Green Potatoes class. The answer is there is no person that we can give credit to inventing Hinduism. Probably someone who was Aryan, but other than that, we don't know. Did Hinduism have any negative effects on India? Well, some people could argue that that caste system was pretty bad, in the fact that it basically encourages this discrimination of that the untouchable class and any lower class. For how long have people believed in Hinduism? The answer with that will vary because Hinduism is so old that things weren't even written down yet. But some have said that it's a little bit older than Judaism, which is 3500 BC or so. So we're probably thinking about 5,000 plus years old. Why could you not change the caste that you were born into? The reason for that was, to be completely honest, was the people who created it, the Aryans, wanted to stay in power. And the way that they would do that is basically they would have all the teaching and leading jobs, and everybody else would have the lower jobs. So it would keep the Aryans in charge of what they were doing. And how is Hinduism different from Buddhism? That's a good question, and really is what the assessment that you're going to be taking today is going to be about. Is looking at the similarities and differences on your own. So there we go. The next thing is, and you'll see this attached to you. This slideshow has been shared with all of you, but it's the last part of your notes, um, and you can copy this onto your own notes if you would like to. Obviously, not the ones in this video, but in the slideshow itself, you could do that. So then I have some questions about Buddha. So here's some questions about Buddha. Why was he the only Buddha? Why did he think about giving up everything? And why did he put himself through pain and starve himself in order to be happy? So those are the questions that I got after you watched the video yesterday. And the reason why I didn't answer those one by one is because it's going to be answered on the next screen. So on the next screen, here are some of the answers to, let me go back up a screen here. These are some of the answers to some of your notes, but it's also in your green section of your notes anyway. So to answer why he thought that he needed to encounter pain is that section of the video where he encountered the person who was sick, and he learned that there were three stages of suffering. One was sickness, one was being older, and another was death. So he saw a sick person, a person who was growing older, and then someone who was dying. So he saw those were the three main forms of suffering. And he then met a fourth person who was completely at peace. And what he found out was that person who was completely at peace had given up everything he had ever owned, and he seemed like he was, calm and relaxed. That influenced what he would later preach and believe in as the Four Noble Truths. And the movie didn't really get to this yesterday, the little video clip, but these were basically the Four Noble Truths. They were that everything is going to suffer, even puppies and everything's going to suffer. Humans generally suffer more the more they want things. The richer you are, the more you want to acquire new businesses, and you might have to fire people or things like that, which would make you feel bad. So the less you try to get money, the less you would suffer. The way that you would stop your suffering is to give up all your wants, not all your needs. So things like air and water and things like that, those are things you need. And then he gives you a suggestion to stop your wants, and that is his requirements are the Eightfold Path, which is hidden right here. The Eightfold Path is what we'll talk about in a little bit. So that answers some of your questions. And then we had some questions about Buddhism itself as a religion. So here are some questions about Buddhism as a religion. Number one, do Buddhists believe in reincarnation? They do. And according to Buddha, there's only one way that you can achieve nirvana, which is this escape of the caste system, escape of the reincarnation. And that is if you do give up everything and you kind of realize the pain and suffering that everybody goes through giving up things, and then eventually you will achieve nirvana through giving up things and stuff like that. Why was Buddhism important to the people of India? Um, I will answer that by saying in India it wasn't really followed all that much, mainly because the caste system and the Hinduism religion kind of forced its way of life on people. Buddhism doesn't really uh, get along well with many people in India itself. While Buddhism exists in India today, it's a very small religion. Buddhism really becomes popular in China, Japan, Korea, and a lot of other Asian countries. It's now the third largest religion in the United States as well. So Buddhism is a pretty large religion today, but it isn't really affected or important to people of ancient India for sure, and modern India in general, not really. Did the spread of Buddhism affect Hinduism at all? Well, I kind of answered that. Hinduism basically stays in India, but Buddhism is spread throughout the rest of the world far more. So even though Hinduism is more in India, there are more Buddhists in the world than Hindus because Hindus just stays in India and doesn't leave. You have to feel pain mentally and physically to reach enlightenment. We just kind of talked about that in the previous slide. And the answer to that is no. But in order to achieve nirvana and to escape the caste system and to escape reincarnation and to finally achieve peace and harmony, they would say, yes, you do need to give up all of those possessions and things like that. In the same way that in some Christian and religions and in some religions today, they say you're going to make mistakes and you're going to, treat people poorly by accident. But only when you perfect that will you, um, you know, achieve perfection. And the last is, what are the requirements of being a Buddhist? So what I did is, here are the requirements of being a Buddhist to answer that question. They are the Four Noble Truths, which I went over in the other slide, and then the Eightfold Path, which is right over here. And the Eightfold Path is basically they give you eight rights. You should have the right understanding. You should understand the Four Noble Truths. You should have the right purpose, which means to live a good life. Don't be violent. They're not really big on people being hunters or doing violent things. They don't even the Buddhists don't approve of the death penalty, for as an example. You should have the right speech. Be careful in what you say. Don't lie or gossip. So that doesn't mean to lie in court. That's the later one. That means just don't lie to people in general. And we don't have laws about that, but certainly we encourage people to not lie and pass rumors about each other. You should have the right action. Don't kill, don't steal, don't lie. Be honest. These things we definitely have laws about. Right way to earn a living. Do not work at a job that causes harm to people or living creatures. Pure Buddhists wouldn't be hunters, wouldn't have those massive farms where they're farming chickens or things like that because you'd have to kill the chickens to eat them. So that's what they would believe in. Remember, a lot of Hindus, a lot of Buddhists are vegetarians. Right effort is to promote good action and prevent evil action. We certainly encourage people to do that. Um, you know, that's another thing that they would believe in. This is something that all, even non-Buddhists, believe in. Right mindfulness is unique. It's one of the things that makes Buddhism a unique religion. And then you have your right concentration. So those are your answers to all of the questions. This was a little bit long of a video, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to allow you to look through this. You can add to your notes if you want to. Obviously, you can look at this video and pause it from time to time. But then the next thing that we're going to do is you're going to have an assignment where you have to compare the two religions to each other. You could call it a quiz, but you can use all of your notes on it. So you can use any of your notes, and I'm going to describe the notes that you should probably try to use if you would like to. All right, so now I just have to remember, how is it that I stop the video? Okay, there it is, I think.